Hey, welcome to a special impromptu live episode of Decentralized Revolution. This episode 79. We're a podcast from the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus. My name is Aaron Harris. I'm your host. And of course, the guest on the eve of the Reno reset, the weekend that you and I, Mike, have been on our calendars from
Quite
whatever
some
they
time.
announced it. But I know I kind of came on board in 2018 sometime, and we had kind of hoped to maybe get some of this done 2 years ago. I think COVID kind of got in the way a little bit. We might not have made it last time, but we've done a lot of work, and here we are. The week that we've been planning for, you've been working hard on much longer than so many of us. So how are you feeling, and what's this week going to be like?
I'm feeling really good, man. I'm feeling really confident. I'm feeling really strong. I think we're going to come in with a really strong majority. And I think our people are ready. I think they're trained. I think they're excited. I think we've got Ron Paul coming out. And that is certainly something to be excited about. And yeah, I feel ready. It feels different than years past. I will say that it definitely feels different. Like right now, there's all kinds of shit being thrown at us. From national, from Prags and stuff like that. It's normal. It always happens at the 5-yard line. But what makes this one different is like nothing is sticking to us. Like they can't seem to land any of the desperation blows on us at the 5-yard line. And that is certainly different from years past, and I think a testament to where we are and how things are going to go.
I think we had a little bit of a feeling going into Orlando, and again, we didn't even know if that was going to happen, if we were legally going to be allowed to assemble, if it was going to be all online. But I think that I think I had a little bit of a feeling like, hey, I don't quite have all my homework done here. But I don't really have any of those type of feelings going into this. If anything, I've been looking at okay, we're ready. Let's get this going.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I'm starting to run out of prep work, Like I played Halo yesterday, like holy shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, same thing. Honestly, I kind of knew how the chairs race was going to go in 2020. I was not feeling great going into that one. I held it together and tried to hold everyone else together, but I kind of had my thoughts going into that convention. But this one's different, man. This one is all energy. This one is all preparation. The level of, the influx of talent that we've had, even just on our board, and the data that we have, the data collection is so much better. The numbers are so much better. We had a team of people in the background like that called 800 plus people across the country, and confirmed who is or is not going. We had like a $50,000 fundraiser to support people getting out there. And that went a long way, and we did use that money. And there are a number of people who, were on a rough spot who are now able to go, who otherwise wouldn't be able to go because of our community. And it's just, I will reiterate, I feel good.
Yeah, it was great to see the document that had everybody's name in it, and everybody started out as yellow background. And to every time I would check back on that every couple of days, I think Paul was flipping them green, right? And I think there's like a handful that weren't green when I looked at it a couple of days ago. And that's one thing. And I want to kind of get into some specifics of what we're going to be facing out there. But as someone who, like, I was at the 2012 convention in Las Vegas where we nominated Gary Johnson, and I was at the 2014 convention in Columbus when we elected Nick Sarwark, Sarwoke. I mispronounced his name. It's Sarwoke. But back then he was kind of a breath of fresh air, and look where that got us. But there's always this thing at conventions, going into, because there was a contentious chairs race in 2012, and it was the question was whose people are going to show up, right? It's like, we know this person has this support, this person has that support, but are all the people from Ohio and Indiana and Florida going to make it out to Vegas and all that stuff? So the mobilization has been key, and to actually get people to go across the country when inflation is what it is, gas prices and hence fuel, air jet fuel prices. Like, I knew this was going to be a challenge. And this whole time I'm like, man, we're going to win all these delegates in all these states. And you know me, I'm kind of the pessimist. I'm always thinking of the worst case scenario. And I'm like, man, we're half of our people aren't going to come. But then we did what we did. And so I'm, Jeff and Laney helped us with the fundraiser. So many people just taking it upon themselves to get this done. And so that's the key, is I think that our people are motivated. And I had tons of people, not tons, but several people who emailed me in response to the emails that I send out, say, hey, I'm going to need some help getting out to Reno. And I'm like, okay, this is what you do. And then about more than half of those people, like within a couple of days, are like, you know what, I made it work. Like, so they thought they were going to have to get some help, but they looked at it, they thought about what this is going to be, and they dug deep. Maybe they convinced their wife or their husband or whatever to, to let loose with another $500 or something. And so, the people didn't have their hands out unless they absolutely had to. And so many people are really sacrificing for this. And I don't see that same energy on, let's say, coming from other parts of this party, partly because we're being positive.
The fundraiser that we did, we raised more money in a weekend than the national party did in their biggest fundraiser of the year over the course of like 8 days for a video promo. So like, it's something I hammer a lot, is that I think the ideas and the Austrian school and property rights and decentralization and all these things, I think they're an animating factor. But I think the thing that's really, really driving people, and this has really been a key observation, I think, in the past year and a half, 2 years especially, is what has happened is there is now a community, a nationwide community all over the country. Like, if you're a Mises person, it's kind of like if you were a Ron Paul guy when that was going on. And if you met another Ron Paul guy from anywhere else in the country, you kind of already knew something about that and had like a camaraderie. That exists now in the caucus, and a culture has emerged out of that has people wanting to engage and wanting to be involved. And I really think that is actually the animating factor, and not even necessarily just the ideas.
Yep.
They're coming together to kind of form this, bonded in fire thing that's going on, where we're dealing with what we're dealing with in the party, and just trying to get the party as an asset to be properly managed, and the message right, and all of this stuff. And it's got people excited. And that's the feedback that I've got, man, is people are really excited for what we've got in store on Friday with Ron and Zuby and Maj and Dave and Scott and everything else.
Yeah, and that's one thing before we get into kind of the fun stuff, because I did have some requests for people who want to know, what exactly we're going to be up against. I think that most of us
fun stuff.
Fun stuff. But like, so this is the stuff I hate. Like, when I was a newspaper reporter, like, the thing I hated most was like covering city council and school board meetings, because of the type of people who are on school boards and city councils, but B, like all the procedural stuff, and they make a motion and take a vote and all this stuff. And so conventions can kind of be that, but also I think people have the thing of, oh, well, there's rules of how to do it, and everybody's going to come, and we're going to all play by the rules, and we're just going to hash this out and take our votes. And we're prepared for something more than people dealing in good faith. Now, I hope we're wrong. We're mega preparing for the worst. But we want to make sure the rules are followed, and we actually get to do business. So
if things get rough, it's not going to be because of us, but we're prepared if they do get rough.
Yeah.
They got rough in PA, and that's kind of the model that we're now going off of, kind of the minimum standard that we're now expecting. And what happened in PA? Well, in PA, it got to the point where we went to remove the chair, and they became recalcitrant and stopped moving, like stopped recognizing objections, stopped recognizing points of order. they started talking in slow motion, just like this, to time us out to lunch and all kinds of ridiculous shit. And they stole the microphones at one point to prevent us from being recognized from the chair or having anything to say. And I think it was a huge learning experience. I mean, we did what we had to do. We got through it, but it was definitely the most contention that I've seen in a Libertarian Party event, period. And so that is what we have been preparing our people for now, is, what are we going to do if they steal the microphones? What are they going to do if they mute the microphones? What are we going to do if the chair, gets frustrated and mad and storms off with the gavel and declares the meeting adjourned? We're game planning for everything. And I think the key to it is that we have got to be very firm, very forthright, but dispassionate and calm.
Yeah.
And let them be the ones that bring the conflict and all of that, and make it clear, who is driving this, and not to engage in hysteria, not to engage in the anger and stuff like that, because the victory is the vengeance. We don't need vengeance. We don't need that. We need the victory. And I think if we just remain dispassionate and steadfast, that we will get it.
Well, and that's the thing, is that all of our stuff has been on how to just make sure everybody follows the rules, right? We're not like trying to come up, we're trying to game plan ways people might try to do an end run around, Robert's rules and the bylaws and stuff like that. But we've got Karen Ann, we've got JJ, the parliamentarian. We've got, I know that this type of stuff just puts me to sleep, but a lot of our people, Dave Benner, James Gentleman, several others.
It's gotten funner. I will say that. I used to hate this stuff, and I still kind of do hate this stuff, but it's gotten funner this go around, but that's probably has to do with the position that we occupy now.
So, so assuming that nobody tries to steal a microphone or, I'm not even going to say some things because I don't want the algorithms to whatever, but like assuming that everybody takes part in a meeting run by the bylaws, what type of things could there be done? And I'm not even saying they're unethical, but what are we, and I don't know how much we want to get into. It might be too boring. It might be giving stuff away, but there are ways that as there should be, that a minority in a meeting can at least slow things up, right? So just like, 51% can't just do anything without deliberation. So what are some of the things that I know one thing that people have talked about, I think we had a question in the chat, was about credentialing. What is that? And are we going to have a fight on our hands there as far as who gets to vote?
Oh yeah. So I think this is the comment. There's going to be a fight right out of the gate, I think. There's been a lot. So first of all, what is credentialing? All of the delegates that are getting elected have to be verified by the national party, and then show up on what's called the credentialing report, so that when I, Michael Heise, show up to be credentialed to be verified as a delegate, they have everything about me on file, and I am who I'm supposed to be. I'm elected, and I get my credentials. Now, what's going to happen is there's likely to be a number of states that somebody, it could be any delegate, and according to the rules, they don't need a reason. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to need that they're going to win the argument, but they can just say, somebody could just say, "Oh, I challenge the delegation of Pennsylvania," because screw them. They could do that, and I guarantee that will happen. Right now, the chair is trying to stop Pennsylvania from being seated through the credentials committee.
The chair of what? The chair of
the
what?
National Party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
I heard something, but I wasn't sure what I heard. So
yeah, she's about to have a lot of egg on her face, because what happened is somebody from Ohio, so not even Pennsylvania, wrote an email to her saying Pennsylvania should not be credentialed. They had out-of-state people voting in their convention, and that's against the state law there. And so they shouldn't be sat. Well, first of all, none of that's true. Well, I mean, there were out-of-state people voting, but that's not against the bylaws. It's been done every year,
including 2020 when I was there.
Right.
And
But what's funny is we have a legal committee that already went through all of this. They were in contact with the Board of Elections. The Board of Elections told them that there's no issue. And Whitney that the chair didn't even think to reach out to the people involved in this. Neither did the person making the claim. You know, it's just to try to unseat this for political reasons. So, you know, you got that. You've got, you know, we expect that New Hampshire will be challenged because there might be some miserables who tried to steal the party before that, you know, want to now steal the delegation, issue a challenge, or the people who purged 47 members in Massachusetts, you know, they might be unhappy that the real Massachusetts delegates were sat, so they might launch a challenge. And this is all going to unfold at the beginning. So that's going to be right off the bat is going to be some fights, I think. And, you know, what we've got to do is not engage in the fight. It's just let it get to a vote and knock it down as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You know, that's because this is all bullshit. So, and everyone knows it.
So we're in a good position, assuming everybody shows up. About how much of the delegation do we think we have?
Oh, you really want to put a number on it?
Well, we don't have to, but let's just say we're in good shape.
I think we're going to have a very strong majority.
Yeah. And so,
I think we're going to have a very strong majority.
So some of these votes that if somebody does challenge a whole, and you have to challenge a whole delegation at a time. Is that it?
You could technically challenge an individual, like, or a set of individuals. But then if somebody were to say, well, I challenge everybody but me, you know, there's ways around that. That's dilatory. That's out of order. But
things like that go to a vote fairly quickly, and we have the numbers to win those things, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And they're majority votes.
Right.
And like I said, I think we're going to have a strong majority. Even what we want to look for is them trying to bend the rules, like trying to vote for all of the challenge states at one time. That's against the rules.
Right.
They have to be voted on one at a time, or else they could just say, well, you know, I challenge this state, that state, that state. And, oh, look at that. They're all Mises people and they can't vote in their own challenge. They're all knocked out. And, you know, that's what I think they're going to, one of the things I think they're going to attempt to do.
To try to put all the challenges in one basket and thus have, that's pretty lame for them to try that because, so what kind of frame of mind, assuming, you know, one of our delegates or even just somebody who doesn't hate us and just wants to see a functioning libertarian party, like what, as a delegate or an alternate who's on the floor, like what sort of frame of mind should you be in? What should you be doing? How should you be paying attention? Like, what are we expecting? Everything from like what time do you show up and what do you do when you get there?
Well, the business starts at 9 a.m. each morning. So, yeah, people got to be in the hall. That's the number one most important thing. You got to be in the hall.
You can't vote on your phone from your room or from the roulette table.
Yeah, no, it's all real life stuff. But as far as like what frame of mind that people need to be, I think people need to be prepared for conflict. And I think that there's a lot of states out there that my state of Pennsylvania was a war zone. And obviously Massachusetts was a war zone and Delaware was a war zone. But then you kind of got this second layer of states where it wasn't a war zone and things were generally peaceful and you know, cooperative until all of a sudden we started getting the numbers and then FANG started coming out. Now it's not quite a war zone, but people started to see, oh, you know, if I start to change things, you know, there's a reaction. And then there's another layer of people that it's not really, they didn't really have any drama at all in their states. And it's just been more or less peaceful. And those are the states that I would encourage to look at the Pennsylvania convention and to anticipate that kind of thing. So like we kind of have to, we have to assume two different roles simultaneously. On one hand, we have to be ready to stand up for our rights as voters on the floor, to use the rules and stick to the rules, and push forward our agenda in a forthright, dispassionate, no stopping manner. But you've also kind of have a little bit of compassion because not everyone's going to realize how, like, what we're doing, you know, and I'm not talking about haters. They can pound sand, but like anybody who's a reasonable person, who is like, why would you be doing this? You know, take the time to talk to them, you know, take the time to talk to them and explain why we might be changing the agenda, for example. That's one thing I'll openly say. We're going to be changing the agenda to make LNC races first because that's what everyone wants. And
it's the most important thing. Yeah,
it's the most important thing. That's what everybody wants. And having bylaws up front, the rules can be changed in such a way as to have dramatic and unprepared for consequences for the rest of the convention, because bylaws changes takes effect immediately.
Right.
So, we're going to change the agenda. And if they say why, it's like, because we don't, given that we already expect a credentials fight, we don't, and then you can be more dilatory with bylaws than you can with elections. You can't amend the amendment on an election.
Right.
And you can't just be dilatory and push things out with that. That this is in the best interest of the,
Yeah, we've literally only got a certain amount of time before like the hall closes, right? They kick us out. Yeah. Right. And so bylaws could technically go on forever, but like the bylaws could be exact, we could leave Reno not having changed the bylaws at all as long as we get a new LNC elected. But if we spend 2 days on bylaws and don't fill the LNC seats and the judicial committee and the region reps and all that, then we've got a real mess on our hands. And I think that's kind of, that's why we're doing it. We're wanting to get the most important stuff done. And then kind of hopefully the pressure will be off. People can relax.
And some of it's rumors, but from the stuff that I'm hearing, that there's like rules changes that the other side wants to try to put in play too. They're going to have to change what's called a standing rule in order to use voting cards. If they want to actually do that, if they want to actually follow through and do that, then we're going to have to open up the standing rules and maybe make some changes there. So it's not even like it's a one-sided thing to do such a thing. It's out there. But to go back, I think we need to have a mindset of like, we're ending this fight. We're putting all of this to bed. We're putting all of this crap behind us. And we are moving forward with that energy without compromise. But we do need to have enough compassion to be able to explain that is what we're doing to people who might not understand it. And if we strike that balance, I think we're going to knock this out of the park.
And I think that's what we want to be very clear about, emphasizing, like, be ready for conflict and stuff like that. Be ready for verbal conflict and people misunderstanding things. Be ready to explain things. Like if something, somebody tries to steal microphones, we've briefed hotel security on that. Like we're not asking anybody. We're not asking anybody to do anything physical. We're just, hey, keep your head up, listen to your Mises Caucus organizers, look in the Discord to see what's going on. If you have questions, ask. If other people have questions, explain to them why we're doing things, or get them to somebody who can explain it. We don't expect every Mises Caucus delegate to know all the details on this stuff because, again, frankly, it's boring, half of it to me, and I'm content to let other people on the board, make some of these very specific decisions, but it has all been thought out. We can explain it. So just, again, stay in contact with other MECOCs. Look in the Discord.
There's going to be plenty of opportunity for it. Yeah.
Right. Just be ready to vote. Don't be, okay, this is boring, I'm going to go play blackjack, right? Stay there, stick with it. We
want to send some other people to the blackjack table to drain their savings.
Yeah. So we're not going to go too long here tonight. So to kind of put a pin in all that is show up. And here's another thing two other things I want to emphasize. Show up sober and not incredibly hungover. If you got stuff like that to do, hey, fine.
Pedialyte.
But maybe backload that. Sunday night, do whatever. Okay. But don't show up at 10:30 when business starts at 9, right? Be there, have your breakfast. If you haven't had your breakfast, do the DoorDash or whatever. Show up somewhat functional. And also, I've told people this, but like it might be too late, but you need to be ready to stay, because if some of this stuff does take longer than possible, than expected, you got to stay there until Sunday evening, till we're actually kicked out of the hall. Go ahead.
Well, I'll make a comment on that point, because this is something I've said in our internal trainings, and like we get so caught up in like this person did that, and
Yeah.
and oh, this person on the board is saying this, or they're trying to screw over this person, that state is being stolen, and all this stuff. And we get caught up in that, and for good reason. But we get caught up in that, and we tend to think of it as like, oh, well, this person or that person is the enemy. And I can totally understand why people would think that, but the reality of the situation is that for all functional purposes, there is no person that is the enemy at this convention. Time is the enemy at this convention. Time management. If we want to complete our agenda, if we want to make these changes to the platform, for example, and start changing the culture and sending a signal to the rest of the movement that we are the only institution in the country that is unwoked. If we want to send that message, if we want to get all the way through it and do that and show and appeal to the movement and everything, then we're going to have to press forward in that manner.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the more fun stuff, like the bash on Friday. And then as we go out, talk about, what we really want to be doing as the Mises Caucus going forward. But so the bash is on Friday night. Now, you mentioned earlier, I think on the schedule right now, chair debates are on the schedule for that evening, either right before or during when the bash is supposed to start. So that's where it comes in. We're going to change things so the chair debate is earlier in the day, and hopefully we'll have already had we'll do the chair. So what do we, just
the
officer
goal?
on? Yeah, tell us the goal.
All right. So here
by?
I'll just flat out tell you the agenda. The agenda is that we're going to be trying to change is we're going to try to have LNC races first, JC races, then platform, then bylaws.
Yeah.
With the chairs race happening earlier in the day than what is currently proposed by the party.
Right. And so basically, again, it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
But there is a lot of festivities. Dave Smith has 2 comedy shows and a live podcast. I think there's still a few tickets for the late night stand-up show on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
That people could go and get. But on Thursday, he's got 2 comedy shows and a live podcast. And then on Friday night, we've got the bash, and then that's going to be Daniel McAdams from the Ron Paul Institute. That's going to be Zuby. I don't think Zuby's ever been to a Libertarian Party event, period. I'm really happy to have him out and start forming these connections. We've got Angela. Scott Horton is emceeing the event. We've got Maj Toure, obviously Dave Smith, and then, Ron Paul. And, it's the 50th anniversary for the LP. And Ron, I don't know when the last time Ron was at a convention or an LP-based event or anything like that. So, I am really excited to see what he has to say to the LP or to the Mises Caucus, and, what his prescription for how we should navigate the waters that we're in as a country right now. How we should go about that, because I'm actually really excited. Like it's screwed up that the prices are going up the way that they are. And it's screwed up that the specter of war with Russia is out there and all that stuff. But all of the ingredients that made the Ron Paul revolution possible and this special thing that we all experienced, they're all here again. And it's happening in a moment where we have built this community into something that's already connected and feels special when we come together. And if you've never been to one of our events and you're coming to the convention, you're going to feel that. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that another thing I wanted to emphasize is to network with other non-Mises Caucus people. So one question we've got a lot is do you have to buy a convention package and things like that? So the answer is you don't have to buy anything to be a delegate and to take part in the business meeting, but we are encouraging people to the extent that they can afford things, to buy packages to support the party and to be part of those events and talks and breakfasts and lunches and things like that. And, you got your Mises Caucus t-shirt on or your button or whatever. Be nice to other people. Don't just talk to other mecox. Talk to other people. Let them see who we are. And because we want as many people who are in the LP now, anybody who's an honest person and is willing to work in good faith, even if they're different, even if they have a different strategy for liberty, we're not trying to kick anybody out. Anybody who's, again, honest and ethical and who gets the NAP pretty close to being right, we want them inside the tent with us. And this is where this happens, because some people have heard stories of the Mises Caucus is this or that, but it's up to each one of
You know
us
what's you know what's
to
going to happen?
to prove everybody wrong
Yeah,
and
but you
to
know
be
what's going to
nice.
happen?
Yeah, go ahead.
There is room enough in so in the space where we have our event,
Yeah,
we got a room enough to hold like 1,000 people.
yeah,
Okay, and Ron is going to do what he always does and bring people together, and people are going to see our community, and they're going to see our energy, and they're going to see our camaraderie, and how happy we are to be with each other and all this kind of stuff. And
yeah,
then it's going to start clicking for them that
yeah,
I get it now.
yeah,
Now I see it. And you know, that's the thing that I'm really excited about. Like I really think that's going to have a strong effect. And I think the fact that our culture shone through even when we lost in 2020
yeah,
is a big part of the reason that we have exploded to this point right now.
yeah. And that's the thing is um I actually I think I wasn't there that night. I was there the night before because I'm old and I was tired. But like we lost the chairs race. Josh did what he did and was awesome, and we didn't quite get there, but everybody was happy that night because they
Yeah.
saw what we were building. We went back and the same group that got together the night before in preparation, now instead of crying in our beer, everybody was happy and started thinking about this week. And so again, that will rub off on people, even if it's somebody that and think that they hate you, or you may hate them from social media. This is real life. Be nice to them. If they slap the hand away, they slap the hand away. But again, we have a real chance not only to have the momentum of our people coming into this, but to get more and more people with even bigger momentum. And what I'm excited about, because frankly, I'm kind of tired of the LP stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm excited about with the Mises Caucus is, hey, we got the LP functioning. We've got Angela and other good people on the LNC. Those of us on the board, and there's three prongs to our sort of strategy. One of them is to have a functioning LP that welcomes the entirety liberty movement in and leads that liberty movement. But we want to get back to the things, the local strategy, and the more people who are already libertarians who will join us on that. Again, we got other work to do. We're not going to win here, go home and sit around for 2 years and come back and do this again. We got stuff to do between now and 2024 to make sure the things that are going to happen that year, we've got an organization going for that. And so what's now that we got the LP up and running, hopefully, what are we going to be doing?
Well, let me take one step back, because we've talked a lot about, like, all right, we have to handle the rules this way, and these kind of immediate term things that we have to execute. But like, what are we doing this weekend on the big picture? That I think is the question that first and foremost needs to be asked, because that's going to define the meaning of why we're all there. And what we're doing this weekend is we are completely changing the trajectory of the Libertarian Party at a moment when things are about to very possibly get dark in the country, and it will need a light of liberty.
Yep.
And we can be that light. We absolutely can do it. I've seen it on the small scale with the caucus, and it's just harkening back to the Ron Paul community thing. And I'm going to keep harping on this point. What I have learned throughout this entire experience is that the LP is going to be more than this network of loosely affiliated people that have just kind of the same political philosophy. It can actually serve as a framework for a community of liberty and a culture of liberty. And we had that when the Ron Paul thing was going on, and it started to just peter out and dissipate and go in all these different directions after the end of that. But we can now pull that into a structure and a framework that doesn't have to die at the end of the campaign, and keep it building. And then building to what? Well, we're in an unprecedented time right now as libertarians. We have access to all of the biggest platforms in the world, and reliably and consistently. This is a completely unique situation that has never happened before, and we have no idea the ceiling of what's possible when we have good messengers like Dave, good messengers like Spike, getting out on these platforms all the time. I'm talking Joe Rogan, I'm talking Patrick Bet David, Greg Gutfeld, Kennedy, Tim Pool. Dave was just recently on Megyn Kelly. Maj goes on Alex Jones and Lawrence B. Jones on Fox. Like all of these, we are this close to the counterculture of the entire country. And that counterculture just got done with COVID. It just got done with lockdowns. They might not be Rothbardian anarcho-capitalists, but they now know that it can happen here. The mystique of it can never happen here is gone. And these people want more liberty, and we can be that light of liberty as things get dark. And that is incredibly important. I can't emphasize the importance of how the trust in media is at an all-time low at the same time that all of the podcasts that's where all the ideas are being discussed and disseminated and shared, and it's all long format, and we have access through our big personalities. And so if we can filter people in from then and have a network and a community ready to go to absorb them, that is the thing that will then animate them to shoot out and do the campaign work, the drudgery, the things that we all fucking hate to do, but we have to do. And that is the thing that excites me. So I know I just went on a rant, but that is the big picture. That is the big picture of what we're doing. It's immensely important. And
it's contrasting with what happened in 2016, which, I don't hate Gary Johnson like some people do. And he's definitely had his flaws. And since 2016 and since he picked Bill Weld, it's kind of not been great. But Gary was a pretty good libertarian messenger most of the time, especially in 2012. And how many people voted for him? 4 or 5 million, right? How many of those people even know anything about the LP now? Right. So the culture wasn't there. So people basically were like, yeah, Trump is a clown and Hillary is a murderer. So I'm not going to vote for either of those two. Gary looks fairly normal. Boom. But some of those people on the right and the left and non-affiliated, I think, kind of peaked at the LP, and they were like, but so what we want people to see is a positive culture of all different types of people who actually love liberty and who are working toward it and who are not squabbling, with each other all the time. They want to see a movement. And if it's going in the place these normal Americans who don't want to be slaves want to go, some of those people are going to come and they're going to stay, unlike what's happened at different waves in the past where they vote. Maybe we get a bump at election day, but 9 months later, the membership of the party is down.
There's so many ingredients for us. We as libertarians, specifically we as Austro libertarians, we have it right on money, and the inflationary environment is such that we have the opportunity to make sense of why the hell people can't afford rent anymore. Why the hell can't they afford groceries anymore? Why are they rationing for their kids all of a sudden? Like we can make sense of that when nobody else can. There is a record number of people who are dropping out of public education and doing charter schooling or homeschooling. Trust in politicians is at an all-time low. Right now, the trajectory is what? Trump versus Kamala? And all of the... It's I understand that it can be hard to like I said, you got the inflation. You people are paying more, everybody watching this is paying more for the groceries and their gas and everything. And that's awful. But at the same time, it's all in how you view it and how you act with this information. Like at the same time that, yes, these bad things are happening, there's all these opportunities happening, and they're happening at just the right moment. All the ingredients are there for another revolution. And I think we have the network and the community to make it happen. So that's the thing that really excites me. And I guess I can get into what we're doing after now.
Yeah. Well, and again, that ground is going to be there because, the Ron Paul campaign was what it was in 2008. Then the crash happened. So there was kind of an army there. And I hate the term army but like a cool army, not one that goes to Yemen and kills people. But those people were ready. Then the crisis happened, and then it really took hold because people were looking for an answer. And some people looked to Occupy. Some people came to the Ron Paul thing. And then unfortunately, a lot of that got dissipated into, the Tea Party, which was to begin with, and then it kind of got co-opted. But again, a lot of people looked at alternative ways to engage with politics in 2008 to 2012. And I am a big believer that I think this crash and the, not only the economic stuff, but the political stuff with, when I grew up, if you'd have told me when I was 10 years old in, Reagan's first term that, Americans would be afraid to say certain words on the phone, that there'd be a baby formula shortage, and that people
Yeah.
would be being
Fuck.
fired for not taking a medicine, I would have thought that the commies won, right? Like I would have been like, oh, well, if that's happened in 2022, well, we lost. Well, we did lose. And so the environment is going to be very fertile for people to look for an alternative. And so that's where hopefully when they come in, they're going to look at what we're doing and what are we going to do to try to turn some of that energy into liberty. What's our strategy?
So we're going to be finally working with the party instead of having to fight with it, and kind of, I would say, clearly delineating the roles of us, the caucus, to the role of them, the party,
Yep.
and kind of highlighting each other and all of that. So like specifically, what do I mean? Ballot access, probably going to be a party focus.
Yep.
Issue
Not
coalitions,
probably.
yeah. Issue coalitions, I'm going to be the new national issue coalition guy because I don't have to be co-general with Jeff anymore
Yeah.
on the party organizing stuff. We can
Yeah.
the terms that I've been using is we can get out of war mode and get into maintenance mode, and I cannot wait for that. So what we're going to do, we're going to be investing more in events, more culture building. We're going to be doing and flattening out the effort of our three-pronged strategy. And I've kind of made this point a lot of times, but we have the three-pronged strategy. It's local level races, specifically for seats that could nullify, plus president for the national messaging and recruiting. So that's like one prong. Issue coalitions is another prong, and party organizing is another prong of the three-prong strategy. But if you were to take that strategy and put it on a pie chart and say, how much effort do you give to all three of the prongs? I would openly say, yeah, we're spending like 80% of our effort on the party organizing stuff because, we're being purged out of state parties. We're being called Nazis from the top of the party. The party is engaging in god awful messaging that it's almost like the desire is to make sure nobody ever gives a shit about liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And like we have to deal with this. So yeah, like 80% of the effort is going into that right now. But even with 10% of the effort going into issues and candidates, we're still giving $50,000 to candidates. We're still helping incumbents win. We're still helping a few others, win for the worst time. We're still helping to decriminalize shrooms in Denver, which is now like a psychedelic decriminalization movement, and helping with gun sanctuaries, and helping to stop the vaccine passports in Philly and LA, and helping defend the guard. That stuff's all already happening. It's just not at the forefront because the juicy fun stuff is the inter-party organizing and, oh man, did you see that dumb shit the sister did now, and all that. That will have to be replaced by flattening out the effort, putting more into that, and investing into more events and culture building. And that is the plan.
And we're going to get me a proper lighting rig and do some more content and get our social media and marketing teams outside the party focused, so we can create some content and get out there. So to get out into the culture, to do some of this stuff. I want to get raw milk legalized in Tennessee. So things like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's already in the pipeline. There's already more professional tools that we're getting ready to onboard. Task management software that we're getting ready to onboard. Doing more with our fundraising, doing more with, because I didn't really realize that our to be honest with you, I always underestimate. I didn't realize that our fundraising capacity was at that point where we could raise 50 grand in a weekend. That's wild.
Yeah.
We're rivaling the party when we're a part of the party. We're not the nationally recognized thing, but again, I think that just speaks to how people who are interested in liberty see us versus see the party, and how small libertarians, the vast majority of libertarians, see us versus the party. And that's the transition that we have to make and that we have to work towards. But I think there's a lot to look forward to. We're going to have to go through some darkness to get to it, but there's a lot to look forward to.
So we better wrap it up here in just a second. But is there anything besides seeing failed comedian Dave Smith and even more failed comedian Robbie Bernstein? Is there any fun stuff that you're looking forward to in Reno?
So there's their comedy events. There is our event on Friday night. We actually don't have anything set up for Saturday because they got the gala, so we can kind of just all maybe go somewhere for dinner or figure something out. We do have a party again on Sunday night with karaoke. So I think that's where we're all going to have to, get our best tunes and let everything out. Like that's where we can finally let everything out and not be so reserved and under control and everything. That's going to be a lot of fun, that release. But that's everything that we've got right now.
I might do some Hank Williams Sr. I don't know. It depends on how happy everybody is.
That's how you release.
Yeah. Well, I don't think. My type of music, like bluegrass from the 1950s, is probably not going to go over too well. So, but maybe I'll just
my death metal might not either.
Yeah. But no, it's going to be fun. So yeah, everybody show up, be happy. We're going into battle, but the way we win this battle is by just being ourselves, being positive, and sticking to the plan. And I'm really, really excited, and I'm proud of all the work you've done. And just big. Like all the people, like I'm just amazed at people that I've never heard of in the caucus, because we are decentralized. Like I hear things all the time of like, oh, this person did this in that state, and look how many delegates they got. And it's like, oh, we have an amazing person like that in this state that I never think about. So it's going to be great to meet all these people and to do this. How's it? One last thing before we say goodbye. How's Angela doing? I haven't talked to her or heard much from her this week. I know she's
doing great. She's probably on a delegate call or something right now.
Yeah.
We've obviously got everything, all of our people firmed up. She's been doing clubhouses. She's been doing calls. She's going to do great. And I think she's got it. I think we got chair and majority of the board at the very least. I just I owe a big thank you to all of our state organizers. Because that's where the bulk of the work really is happening, is our organizing teams inside the states who are taking the leads that we generate and making the calls and doing the onboardings and getting these people involved. And it's a huge effort that is going on behind the scenes that doesn't necessarily come across in like these discussions. And, it appears that this is, my doing or whatever. It's really not. It's all of these people who have thousands, like a disbursement of thousands of leads coming to them that they are then calling and integrating and educating and training and organizing. And, we're at a point now where we have a national IT guy. We have a national marketing chick. We have a national.
Hey. We got to be grown up here. We can't, she's not a marketing chick. Come on. I'm kidding.
We're still pretty loose. That's the cool thing about it. Like we still have that grassroots looseness. I'm not trying to get full corporate.
No, I know. That's the thing is, we do have that culture, and people know that, people use words and out of endearment, and no, it's great that we have this. And I'm just amazed at like, I won't go into specifics because I want to get into people's personal lives, but like some of the people that you just referred to, like that,
Laney's been awesome. Whitney's been awesome.
And like Brody, like I don't want to give details about Brody, but that's an impressive guy. There's some really great people that it's going to be great to see. So if you see one of us in Reno, say hello. Again, just I'll
give you a hug.
Just be nice to people. I can see you now, Mike. You're already the look you get on, it's gonna be just like at your wedding, kind of you're super happy. And
I'm gonna so actually detail, I'm gonna be wearing the suit that I got married in. On Friday.
Oh, that's great. That is awesome. Oh man, that that brings back did you get the mud out of the suit?
Best as I could.
It rained at Mike's wedding, and I was worried that she was not a bridezilla. She was like, oh, so what? It's I got mud on my dress. It's a part of the memory. So
it was awesome.
I was impressed by how everybody handled that. So,
but this is the culmination of 5 years of work, and this is the end of a chapter. In as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I know it. Not everyone has this quite the level of skin in the game that we do, but this is the close of a chapter in my life.
Yep.
And the beginning of a new chapter for all of us. To kind of end that phase one where we have to get the asset under control to manage it properly, and now we have to deliver. You know, that's
Yep.
going to be the new thing. We have to deliver. We have to bring these people in. We have to be that light for liberty. That is now our responsibility.
Yep.
And you know, I'm really looking forward to that, because I think I've already seen a glimmer of the potential that we have, and we can do it. That's
Yep.
that's like the overriding thing. So I'm just so grateful for everybody that is helped us along all of this. I'm so grateful for Ron for inspiring all of this. I'm really, really excited, as you can tell.
Yeah. It's you've said it all. We're going to try to get some sleep the next 2 or 3 nights, because we're not going to get any sleep for like 5 nights after that. So thanks for doing this, Mike. And thanks to everybody for listening. Share this, tell everybody to come out and be positive and be happy. And we're going to do this thing.
Reno, reset, take human action. We got this shit.
All right. See you, Mike. Bye-bye.
Peace.